All right, we're live.
It worked this week.
It worked. Welcome to the Ben and Lauren Show. I'm Ben.
This
is Lauren. And here we are again.
And it's another week down, but it's actually 2 weeks down.
Yeah, we had
we had technical difficulties last week.
I think Facebook was not Facebook. I think YouTube was not working that night.
Yeah, we looked it up, and there was a chart that shows whether YouTube is actually working in your area or not. And as we couldn't get anything to happen, we started seeing reports come in that pretty much everybody in our area was kind of having trouble.
It didn't have a little go live button, so we couldn't do anything. So we didn't do it that night.
It was Russian hackers.
That's what it is. No, not Russian hackers. Russian bots.
Oh, Russian bots.
At it again.
Anyway. We are on this week, and boy, has it been a busy couple of weeks.
It's been nuts. So what do we do? Well, I could start with maybe the food show. That's what's freshest in my mind.
Or should we just go back to the beginning of the week and start with me running over myself with the car?
Oh, no, that's a crazy story. It ends well, just so we know.
Well, obviously, I'm still here, and I don't have any broken bones, so we can start with that.
Is our little Steven family protection mug?
Family protection mug. We use that frequently. So, story begins with us getting a cold. Again, it's our second cold in 2 weeks, and this was a bad one. And it involved children being up. I think I went about 6 nights with 3 hours of sleep because we had kids who would have a coughing fit, and then one would have a fever, and then another one would wake up crying. And so I kind of was just going around in circles all night. And
I'm just finishing up my cold. I'm pretty much done, but...
Last Sunday, after 6 nights of not sleeping, we had an issue with something that we needed to take back to the store before our chance to get it discounted went away, and it was at Joann Fabrics. And I think there's a gene in all men. They despise Joann
I elected
Fabrics.
To stay home. I'm not a Joann's Fabric kind of guy. I mean, I've been in there a couple times, and no.
It messes with his brain or something. He just kind of gets this glazed deer in the headlight
can't do
stare.
It. I have looked and looked and looked for something interesting there. I cannot find anything interesting in that store.
He doesn't even want to go in there to do a return.
No.
So I went in.
It was one of those rare occasions where I handed her the keys and said, go take care of it. I'll watch the kids.
So the very little night's sleep plays into this. So does the fact that for the last 8 years, Ben and I do very little apart. Now, I went from driving every day. I think I'm more of an aggressive driver than you, too. To I drive maybe once every 2 months, maybe?
Pretty infrequently.
It's pretty infrequent because every time we go together and he drives. It's just the way we do it. So I came home and I got everything okay, and I stopped and I got some lunch and I brought it back since Ben was watching all 4 kids.
Mm-hmm. Did you have Daniel with you?
I did not.
So I had everyone. I had all the kids.
And I got to our garage, and the girls had been outside raking leaves with Nana and Papa, and our littlest daughter had left her wagon right in the way of where the car needed to go. But I didn't realize that until I was halfway into the garage. So I backed the car back out of the garage, and then I got out to move the wagon. And I think I was thinking a few steps ahead, and that I'm going to get back in the car and pull the car into the garage. And I thought I put that car in park. My brain still says I put the car in park. But as I was in the back of the garage moving the wagon, I heard the car engine noise change, and I turned around to see the car driving right into the garage at me with nobody at the wheel.
Now, from my perspective, I'm in the kitchen, and I hear this loud crash, like just shake the house crash. And I'm like, what was that? And I had a little moment of confusion. And then I heard the voice of my wife saying, Ben, help!
Because the car drove into the garage and it drove right into me, and it pushed me into the back wall of the garage. And thankfully, all our camping stuff, our totes and the big metal shelf we have back there, I think that's what stopped the car from actually smashing me into the wall and breaking my legs, because the bumper of our car is like right above knee level on me, so it wouldn't have killed me.
Now, we can laugh about it now, but imagine my experience opening up the garage door and seeing my wife pinned to the back of the garage with apparently the car like right in front of her. And it took me a second to realize what needed to be done. I needed to get in the car, get it out of drive, put it in reverse, and wheel it back.
And he kept saying, it was in drive. It was in drive. And I said, but I put it in park.
I said, no, it's not in park.
And he said, it's not in park. And then I said, and the tire ran over my foot. It'd be a miracle if it's not broken.
And I'm thinking, as I'm pulling the car back, I'm thinking, am I going to roll over her foot? Like, should I be checking this ahead of time?
Yeah, if it had rolled over my foot, that would have rolled over it again.
Yeah. Well, I had a feeling it wasn't because I saw where you were standing. You were standing in the front of the car. You were not standing on the side where the wheel would have been.
I hadn't started at the side, in the front, though. Oh. That was as far as I could move before it hit me.
Well, when I assessed the situation, I saw that she was in front of the car. I saw the car was not pinning her, that she was kind of trapped in between the car and the wall, and there was a gap between there. And so I put it in reverse.
So my foot was really, really hurting. It hurt really bad. I thought I'd broken it. And I have a pretty high pain tolerance, and I was crying. So I thought, my brain told me for sure that tire had gone over my foot.
Well, I kept hearing her saying, "It's broken. I think it's broken. I think it's broken." And of course, I'm thinking, I believe her. You know, if she says it's broken, it must be broken. But she was stepping on it. She limped over to the steps, sat down, took off the sock, got a good look at it.
And it was bruised. It was obviously bruised, but it wasn't swelling up. And when I saw that it wasn't swelling up,
I had you move your toes.
Yeah.
And when she moved her toes, I knew that it couldn't have been broken.
It wasn't swelling up. It was turning black and blue, but it wasn't swelling at all. And I could walk on it, even though it was bruised. I actually think what happened is when the car hit my leg, it pushed me against. We have a real lawnmower back there that I was actually in the process of moving a little bit with the wagon, and I think it squashed my foot into the wheel of the real mower, because right now I have a bruise the size and shape of the wheel on the side of my foot.
So basically the car pushed her foot into the wheel of the lawnmower.
Got squished. And I've got a big bruise above my knee too. So
thankfully it's just a bruise.
So how many people try to run themselves over with their own car? Boy, did I feel stupid.
We were very, very thankful that it was only a bruise. It was nothing that serious.
And it shows that my reflexes are not what they should be when it comes to driving. That was actually quite frightening to me, that I am that out of practice. I don't feel out of practice. Although I had called him to tell him that I was on my way home, and I did not. I called from the parking lot. I wasn't driving because I had this feeling that I didn't have the ability to drive and talk on the phone.
So what do we learn from this? I'm going to do most of the driving from now on.
Well, you do most of the driving.
I do most of the driving anyway.
Well, I think I learned that if I am that tired, I probably shouldn't go anywhere.
Now, we have evidence that you were that tired, that you were finally catching up on your sleep, because today we slept in late.
We didn't go to Bible study today. We usually go to Bible study this afternoon. And the kids got me up bright and early at 8 o'clock like usual. It's like my eyes did not even open.
Nope.
And Sabbath is for resting. It is a lot of work for us to go to Bible study, and we do it because we think it's important.
Work meaning it just is effort to get out the door, get to the study, and get back, get everyone fed, get everyone dressed, get everyone ready to go. It's
a lot of juggling to do. So that was a story of me running over myself with the car.
I'm glad she's okay.
That's a little dramatic. I didn't actually run myself over, but, I have heard that people have gotten killed that way, although...
Well, a car that's idling towards you doesn't have enough strength.
I was able to actually stop it from rolling by pushing on it.
Stop it with your hands.
I was pushing on it with both hands to stop it from rolling. And I know if you put like a 2x4 on the floor and the wheels hit that, if it's idling, it can't go up over the 2x4.
Well, I think that we're gonna install something like that when you park the car.
That really might be a good idea. It would save our shelves too. The shelving unit is badly damaged.
Our shelves got decimated. Well, maybe I can bend it back into place. It put a
scratch on the bumper.
I'd rather the shelves than the car.
I think if you were to get killed with a car, though, it would have to be one that like an Escalade or something with a real high bumper so that it hit more like your stomach or your chest area. I don't think our car would have killed me that way. But it might have broken my legs if those shelves hadn't been there. I mean, if it hit right at knee level.
That's a scary thought.
So I have no broken legs.
Nope. Well, that was one adventure this week.
Then we had election day.
Oh, yeah. We got the whole family together and voted. And we won't talk how we voted. We'll just say this, that there were 3 proposals on the ballot, and we voted no, no, and no.
And they all passed.
Yes, yes, and yes.
So let's cut to the chase. Because of the blue wave that actually happened in our state, we are now about to become, I think, a sanctuary state that will allow somebody without a proper ID to register and vote on the same day as an election. We may never see a Republican election here again.
So on a national scale, you could say that it was a blue trickle, that it was pretty
in Michigan,
ineffectual.
It was pretty much a blue tsunami.
it was terrible in Michigan. Michigan really did not fare well at all. And it's going to be blue for a long, long time.
It's going to be blue. It already was, but it's going to be blue longer.
So Proposal 2 is supposedly an anti-gerrymandering proposal. But instead of having the elected officials choose the boundaries, now we have a committee of 13 that are supposedly 4 Democrats, 4 Republicans,
random voters,
5 independents, random voters.
They're supposed to be chosen out of a hat as random
voters.
Right. And so they have no oversight as to how much money they can spend. They are allowed to choose their own salary, and they can pick any advisor that they would like and authorize a salary for them without any oversight. And there is no veto power by the legislature over what they decide. So they get to redistrict our state with no oversight.
So what that means is that all of the district lines are going to be redrawn, and it will probably be favorable to one side or the other.
But what's interesting is, it's 4 Democrats, 4 Republicans, and 5 independents. Now, the number of independents in our state, registered independents, are really low. So that is a very
and most independents in Michigan are going to lean to the left.
They're usually Green Party.
They're Green Party, Socialist Party. They're extreme left. They're more left than the Democrats, basically. So
there's some libertarians. I think there's a fairly
there might be
strong
some libertarians, but
places.
I have this funny feeling that they're just going to get missed in this random polling. 5 independents. So the independents are going to have the final say. They're the swing vote. It's just it's rotten to the core. It's
probably not a great election, but you know what's good?
And then there's Proposal 3 too.
Proposal 3 puts a lot of things that were already election law into place. But the thing that it really does, and I didn't realize this till yesterday because I worked elections for a number of years, and it said register up to including the day of election, even at polling places. Well, you've always been able to do that. You can walk into any polling place on election day and register to vote. But what you can't do is register to vote and get a ballot that day, because up until now, the law is you have to be registered for a number of weeks ahead of the election to actually vote in that election. But what this does, it changed our Constitution to say...
Constitution.
Yeah, which means
Michigan
it's very
Constitution.
difficult to do. It changed our Constitution to say that you can register to vote and receive an actual ballot, not a provisional ballot. And the only thing you have to do to register is show a Michigan photo ID and a proof of residency, which is usually like a utility bill. Now, in concert with our newly elected government liking to make us a sanctuary state, that means the Secretary of State may choose to begin giving Michigan photo ID to people who are not United States residents.
So Michigan's all set to go as soon as the universal amnesty is granted, or Michigan does its thing with
just
illegals.
Accept refugees.
Could accept refugees, just anything to bring bodies into Michigan, as long as they have an ID, a Michigan ID, and a residence, prove that they actually reside.
Yeah, if they paid a gas bill in the state of Michigan and they have a photo ID.
All they have to do is prove that they are residing in the state of Michigan, and then they can legally vote. If they have not registered, no problem. They just go to the polls, fill out the little form, and they have a ballot to vote.
And once they vote that ballot, we can't undo it because it goes into the tabulator, into the machine, and we don't know which ballot was theirs.
Yeah.
So we basically have just cleared the pathway to have massive voting done by people who are not actually citizens of the United States.
Yeah.
So that's
in Michigan. So
I'm really hoping that there's some work done on the local level to stop that from happening, but it's going to be tricky.
Yes. And they also changed something. They have straight ticket voting now. And the reason straight ticket voting was removed was because of it favored one party over the other. Usually lower information voters that would go in and just vote one party and then walk out because they didn't want to expend more brain power choosing all the different candidates.
And what happened when they removed straight ticket voting in our state? Straight ticket voting allows someone who really only knew 1 or 2 names on the ballot to vote for everybody in that party.
Just with one little check.
Well, once they removed straight ticket voting, people would come in and they would only vote for president, or they would only vote for governor, and they wouldn't vote for any of the other people in the other races. So what was happening is a lot of the people of that party down ballot were losing races, even though the person on the top of the ballot was winning. So by reinstituting straight ticket voting, they're making it so that everybody down ballot gets a vote, even though the person who's voting doesn't know anything about them. They just came in to vote for president.
So not having straight ticket voting on the ballot was pretty much why probably played into why Donald Trump won Michigan.
Although, again, he's president, so people would have come in to vote for president.
Right, but if you were typically a Democrat voter and you went in there and the top option was who do you want for president, nobody's a secret ballot. They may actually vote Donald Trump and then do all their typical, Democrat votes after that.
I don't think straight ticket played into that, but it did play into, I think, the election of a Republican House and Senate in Michigan, because people were not voting for the down ballot of the governor or the president.
So as of right now, we've got all 3 of these proposals passed. By the way, these new election laws are in the Constitution.
Right. They take place immediately. Nobody signs them into law. They're constitutionally enshrined.
So putting them in the Constitution means that everyone is sworn in to defend the state constitution. So now they're defending all these election laws. It's basically, that's the new norm. So it is what it is.
God is still in charge.
God is still in charge.
He was in charge when the election happened. He's always in charge.
That's right.
So
it's disheartening, but it's not like Michigan is.
Well, here's how I look at it. The tea is still delicious, and our house is still warm. And we got snow this week. The first snow of the week happened this week. And
she always cheers me up.
Well, here's what the thing is. I've been paying attention to politics since I was 8 or 9. And
I walked into this.
I just turned 36 last week.
I walked into this with Donald Trump, and I thought this is the new reality. Everything's going to be all going this direction now.
Ben really hasn't been paying attention to politics since you became a believer.
Right.
That's really when you got interested in politics, too.
Yeah. I was really one of those loosey-goosey. I would call myself a moderate because, you see, there's the extreme left and the extreme right. I was the guy in the middle that could just make the 2 sides hold hands and sing.
Do you know what happens to people who are in the middle of the road?
They get run over?
Exactly.
I got run over a lot.
You have to be roadkill.
I thought that I was enlightened being a moderate, but I got the word ignorant with enlightened mixed up.
Well, see, I've had enough time that I've learned how to put bad or elections that are disappointing to me behind me. I do not scream at the sky.
I'm not screaming at the sky. I'm just...
Right. I mean, to me, it's like I notice a lot of voters who are just getting interested in politics in the last several years really have no idea. You're not one of these people. They have no idea how to handle an election not going the way they want it to. They do not know how to pick themselves up and say, okay, I'm going to keep going with my life here, and we got another chance in a little while.
Yep.
They don't know how to do that.
Well, also, it doesn't necessarily affect our day-to-day. That's the important thing.
Not right away.
Not immediately. So life goes on, and life is still good.
Right. Life is good. So then after Election Day, right away, we went out to our state capital,
Lansing,
and we went to a food show. And we were there because Dad wanted to kind of talk to people about our floor coatings and our probiotic cleaners.
So we basically went around, shook a lot of hands, handed a lot of business cards out, met a lot of
samples,
met a lot of interesting people. Samples were probably my favorite. And we've got a couple cool things we brought back that we wanted to talk about on our podcast today, or our video log we're doing.
What you want to do first, the oil?
The pickles. One of the neat things we saw there is a lady that was selling little bags like this. And right now it's full of pickles, but it was basically an empty bag with all the pickle spices.
Here's their little brochure.
And all you do is you put the vinegar in, and you put the pickle slices in, you seal it up, and there you go. You just let it sit in here, and you've got
3 days in the refrigerator.
You've got yourself some pickles.
Which, it's easy enough for anybody to do that themselves.
But you got this convenient bag and all the spices, and it's just
it's a great little idea. And most people are scared of pickling.
Yeah, it's
so this would be a way to introduce pickling.
So I don't know if you can see in there, we've got some cucumbers, some cauliflower, anything else? Onions?
That's all I put in there. Okay. I figure we can reuse the brine. We can put more in.
So this is Great Lakes Pickling Company.
Dustin's watching.
Hey, Dustin. Pickles. How you doing, bub?
I don't think we've ever actually had
We actually have a live viewer. How cool is that?
Anyway, so we thought we would try these. They've now been in the refrigerator for a couple of days. And it said 3 days minimum. So
we're gonna try them.
You want cauliflower or cucumber?
Oh, cucumber, of course.
Now let's see if I can get one out. Okay, so this one was Polish dill, so it's probably a lot of garlic, and they smell good.
Fresh basil. She said that this is basil from her garden.
You mean dill?
Or dill, rather.
Oh wow, she grew her own dill.
She grew her own dill, not basil. That's good. Yep.
They are really tasty. They're very garlicky.
Quite good.
What I was struck by That's very, very tasty and very easy. You just throw the vegetables in there, throw some vinegar and water in there, put it in the refrigerator. And
so what
I'm
else
kind
do
of
we
a
get?
pickle fanatic, and I like them.
So I wanted to talk about this one too.
So then we went to a booth where there was a woman giving samples of this oil out. And it turned out that she and her husband, it's just she and her husband and their farm, the soybean and corn prices are falling. And so they're looking for a way to make their land more profitable. And they thought that they would try growing a relative of the mustard family. They heard about this oil. It's very good for you. And it's called camelina seeds. And so they grew, harvested, and produced their own cold-pressed camelina oil.
You can see an interesting reflection through the...
And this, I don't know if you can really see with our lighting, but this has got like the most beautiful golden color. And she had like a little book on her table showing their whole process. They grew, they planted the seeds, and she showed the plant they saw for the first time and their whole production of trying their first pressing of the oil. And we were kind of really interested because it's kind of something we would see ourselves doing something similar. And they're being entrepreneurs. They're trying to make this land produce something that normally it wouldn't.
So to learn more, it's bearessentialoils.com. And strangely enough, they don't actually do essential oil or a farm. They basically produce a few oils, but it's actually oils from their farm that they're producing. And this is called camelina oil. Basically, it's mustard seed oil.
Yeah, it's got a very like an herb smell, like a very green smell to it.
Reminds me of a little bit of peanut.
Yeah, like a nut, maybe sesame seed a bit.
A little bit like sesame.
Apparently,
peanut.
It has a higher smoke point than olive, coconut, canola, and grapeseed oil, which would make it very good for sautéing.
And of course, you got your essential oils and your, what do you call it, the omega-3s, 6, and 9s, and all the good stuff.
So this is Ryan and Brianne. That was their name. Ryan and Brianne have made this beautiful oil. You want to try a bit?
Sure.
And
I'll wait for you.
We brought us. They were handing out samples. Brianne was, and we brought it home because we thought, boy, that's someone we'd like to encourage.
Wow.
It's really good.
Has kind of a.
It reminds me of sesame seed and something green.
Sesame seed, and it's not like olive. It's definitely more like a nut.
It's real thin too. It's not real thick like olive oil.
This would be really cosmetic.
Ben thinks it would be
it's very, very light.
Cosmetic oil. I don't know. It still seems like real heavy for putting on your skin.
You know how some oils seem kind of light? It just feels like light oil. This is very, very light.
I'd like to try making some salads out of it and seeing what it goes well with. But that was our top contenders. Yeah. There was so many interesting people.
We ate a lot of good food.
There was a guy farm raising venison. Mm-hmm. I never saw farm raised venison. They were handing out the slices of the loin. They were barbecuing inside.
It was called Elite Meats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was one guy who was doing they did gelato and cooked the pumpkin for the pumpkin spice gelato.
That was good too.
It's like so many good ideas.
How about the coconut oil, the coconut ice cream?
Coconut milk ice cream.
Coconut milk ice cream.
Creamy too. It wasn't icy.
It was fantastic. And he did Blue Moon. And I said, "What's the secret ingredient?" And he wouldn't tell me. He said that it is lemon.
Primarily lemon and vanilla.
And then
secret ingredient.
The third ingredient he wouldn't tell us. And we said nutmeg. And he said, nope, it's not nutmeg.
Not nutmeg.
So we don't know to this day what is actually these. But we tried it, and it really does taste like Blue Moon.
You know what struck me? There was so many people.
Mm-hmm.
And only a fraction of those ideas are ever going to make it to market. But there was so many good ideas.
I think there was too many barbecue sauces and too many salsas and chutneys and things like that. It's like the market's just absolutely, and chips, snack food. There's just too many snack foods.
Snack food, yeah.
They need more convenient food, convenient style or gourmet or something that fits a specific demand. Because people make those because they're easy. It's easy to make and can salsa. It's easy to make chutneys. It's easy to make a barbecue sauce.
Well, what about the dairy guys we talked to? The cream lime milk.
That was smart. We met some dairy guys, and he was talking about they were selling ice cream or having samples of ice cream. and they were talking about the cream line, which is non-homogenized milk. We talked a little bit about raw milk, and they knew right away. Nope, no raw milk in Michigan.
They said that's kind of illegal, and we said we kind of
know.
Well, what they said was that it's been determined that milk comes in a couple of different genetic strains. There's the A1 and the A2 strain.
Oh, yeah, A2.
And then there's a combination, A1, A2. And that most people have an easier time digesting the A2 genetic strain of milk than the A1. And there's even some grocery stores now beginning to sell specifically A2 strain because the protein in it is more tolerable by us humans.
So he was saying that they actually they tested all their cows, and the cows that produce A1 protein milk, they actually are selling off.
They're only keeping their A2s.
They're only keeping the A2s, so they're going to be an A2 dairy, which is pretty cool. That means that they can charge a premium for their milk. But it also means it's going to be easier to digest if you have a casein intolerance, the protein that's in milk. Now, I have a lactose intolerance, so that might not. I would try it. I would try A2 and see if I'm okay with it.
It's worth a shot.
Maybe it is the protein. I don't know, but I take those lactate drops and those lactate pills, and it seems to work. Although not totally.
You were able to drink the raw milk without problem, though.
And the raw milk was no problem at all.
Yeah, you were drinking glasses of that.
The raw milk was so good. We miss it. We're going to have to buy a cow.
I think we're running up. We were at 26 minutes. We've never done one this long before.
No, I think we're good.
You want Dustin and Cassie, the Dustin and Cassie show. We saw the first episode this week.
It was great. It was wonderful.
It was great.
I am so happy that Dustin and Cassie are doing their own show. So now we got the Ben and Lauren show and the Dustin Cassie show. I think that's fantastic.
Theirs is probably going to get more exciting than ours because Dustin has a lot of good ideas.
Dustin's very creative. He's going to have a cool intro and outro and format. And I think we're just sort of pop on live. Hey, Lauren, you want to do a Ben and Lauren show? Yeah, sure. What are we going to talk about? I don't know. So oil and garlic. That's kind of how it goes.
We'll have to link to their show. They're friends of ours. We met them in Arkansas, although oddly enough, they come from here in Michigan.
From Michigan, yeah.
And I think a lot of these podcasts to me remind me a lot of sitting on somebody's front porch and visiting them for a little while. And that's why I think I really enjoy other people we know who do the podcasts. I enjoy sitting on the front porch listening to their week. And that's a little bit what Dustin and Cassie's show is like. Mm-hmm. And we'll have to link to that.
Well, we try to, I don't know, there's not always interesting things going on in our life, but
there's always something.
Well,
clearly we have almost half an hour worth.
Lauren almost gets run over by a car, and we went to a food show. We voted in the election.
I didn't even talk about my little earbuds.
One more thing.
Oh, yeah. I want to really quick talk about these. This is my birthday present from my brother Aaron. These are called earbuds. Now, I never heard of these, and they my favorite toy. Yeah, they are wireless, so you can put them in, and they don't leave wires trailing all over. But what they do is they connect to my phone, and they also have a speaker on board, so I can actually answer the phone and have my hands free. They charge in this little case, which looks to me like a dental floss case. So you charge up the case, you put the earbuds in the case, and then they charge themselves up. And this is the kind of thing, when I was a kid, I would have imagined we would have when we had flying cars. Mm-hmm. Back when we had big radios.
That's better than a flying car.
You know, we had Walkman, and kids used to walk down the street, the cool kids carrying the big radios.
Yeah.
Can you imagine what they would have done with something like this?
I mean, if you went to someone in 1980 and said, okay, your entire music collection is right here. You just put these in your ears. You're all good to go. Oh, and by the way, they charge right through here. It's science fiction.
It would blow your mind.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about that real quick. That was a great present for my brother. And I looked at that and I thought, how did we even?
And now she's Lauren 2.1 because as she's doing things around the house, she's talking to people on the phone. She's listening to podcasts.
I have to be careful because I do notice having something in my ear distracts me from what the kids are doing.
But I notice it's only one ear.
I have to have it in.
So one ear in, one ear out.
If I put it in the other ear, I'll be lost to humanity.
And a lot of times,
I might turn into a cyborg.
And most of the time when I say, "Hey, Lauren," she'll actually respond. Most of the time. So I think that pretty much wraps up the Ben and Lauren show for tonight. Yes. You're turning red.
Oh, I didn't mean to be distracted.
Sorry. It's okay.
Be careful.
So this is the Ben and Lauren show. Have a wonderful rest of the week. There's Cassie. Hi, Cassie.
Hi,
You
Cassie.
came in right when we were signing off, so you'll have to watch it from the beginning. And I guess that's it.
No screaming at the sky, people, no matter what the election results. That's just not good for you. Have a good week.
I am not screaming at the sky. I am just a little, I'm happy. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom, everyone. Shabbat shalom, Cassie. Everyone have a good evening. Good night.
Good night.